Hi, I'm Jeff, and welcome to another one of my videos where I take a look at all the new comic books coming out on either May 30th or 31st, 2023, and I ask myself the question, what one new comic book would I buy this week if I could buy just one book? Let's go ahead and start off this video like I start off this video most of the time by taking a look back at my pick from 2 weeks ago, which was The Vigil, issue number 1. And the question remains, was it a worthy and worthwhile book to be my just one book pick of the week? The answer is not really. Not really. So I realized I'm having a bit of a dilemma here, and that is that I don't know that I know how to enjoy superhero comic books anymore. I realized that I basically don't read any of them except for Batman. And Batman's really, really good. It was written by James Tynion IV, my guy, and now it's written by Chip Zdarsky, my other guy, and they do really, really good job on it, and so I like Batman. But other than Batman, I don't read any superhero comic books. So I read The Vigil, and I was kind of like, it's not really doing much for me. I mean, it was fine, it was interesting, but I was like, what was really like exciting and compelling about it for me? Well, very little. There are superheroes. They have the ability to like dodge bullets or change their face. These are things that we've seen a million times before, so I couldn't really get excited about it. Now, I have to even admit that I was very much excited about it. I went out and I bought 3 copies of what is the actual first appearance of some of the members of the Vigil. So I've got that in the PC now, just in case anything ever happens with the Vigil. But I don't think it will, but maybe. It is still new and it is still fresh, and it was decent. I just had a hard time getting excited about it personally. It doesn't mean it was bad. It just means that like I said, I think I'm having a hard time knowing how to read and appreciate superhero comics. So there it is. If you read The Vigil, let me know what you thought of it down in the comments. All right, let's go ahead and move forward now to the next part of this video where we take a look at the books that are coming out this week. Now, this is kind of an interesting week. Publishers like Dark Horse and Boom basically have little to nothing coming out this week. I think it's one of those weeks where it's kind of like the 5th Tuesday, Wednesday of the month kind of situation. So a lot of stuff, it's not a big week for comic books. But that being said, there are some things of note to talk about this week. So let's go ahead and jump right in and talk about them. The first book that I want to tell you about this week is a new book. It is Power Girl Special, issue number 1. It's a one-shot from DC. Here's the description. Power Girl takes center stage. With new powers and a new mission, Power Girl faces a challenge unlike any she's experienced before in this shocking one-shot rising from the events of Lazarus Planet and Action Comics. With Omen's guidance, Power Girl now strives to battle the demons, literal and figurative, lurking within the minds of some of the greatest superheroes in the DC universe. But the nefarious Johnny Sorrow has been searching for a connection to Earth Zero, and the superheroine's work may unwittingly give him the means to make their world his personal stage. Can Power Girl and her estranged superfamily bring down the curtain on Sorrow's evil plans? And at what cost? All right, so the first reason that I mention this book to you this week is that it has some really cool covers. In particular, I'm a big fan of the one by Art Germ. I'm also a big fan of the one by David Nakayama. There are foil versions of both of those covers. So if you're a cover collector, this is something for you to consider picking up this week. I'll also mention that Key Collector notes that this Power Girl Special, this one-shot issue number 1, is also the first team appearance of the Horsemen of Johnny Sorrow. Pit, Pendulum, Piper, Poet. First team appearances aren't generally very collectible. They don't tend to perform very well on the secondary market, but this is something that Key Collector noted, so I'm passing it along to you. So the first team appearance is interesting, but really for me, it was mostly about the cover art. The next book I want to mention to you is a new book. It is called The North Valley Grimoire, issue number 1 from Massive Whatnot Publishing. Here is the description. Oh, this is issue number 1 of a 6-issue limited series. Spycraft meets spellcraft in North Valley, a slick James Bond-style adventure fused with the supernatural suspense of The Magicians. In this thrilling debut, a CIA Black Ops division clandestinely hunts and eliminates the most dangerous threat in history: magic. On a routine assignment, Agent Malek discovers a grimoire more powerful than a nuclear weapon. But when the agency wants to recover the spellbook instead of destroy it, he begins to question their endgame. Written by best-selling author Blake Northcott and art by Giuseppe Caffaro, The North Valley Grimoire is an enchanted tale of espionage like none other. You know what? That description sounds pretty cool. It's fairly original. I have had a little bit of negative bias toward Whatnot Publishing. They put out way too many covers for their issue number 1s, and this one is no exception, but these covers are actually really, really good. There's another David Nakayama one in there, as well as for the Power Girl one-shot that we were just talking about. There's just some really cool covers on this, so that's something worth paying attention to, but ultimately the premise is what's more interesting to me about this one. I just think it could be fun and entertaining, so I mention it to all of you. The next book that I want to tell you about is a new book. It is called Catfight, issue number 1 from IDW. Here's the description. John Wick meets Kill Bill meets cats? Felix lives a life of high fashion and indulgence. Sure, he steals to get it, but he gets it on his own nonetheless. When a mysterious character by the name of Schrodinger threatens Felix's only surviving family member in an attempt to recruit him into a crime syndicate, Felix is sent on a globe-trotting game of cat and mouse in a heightened world of colorful criminal masterminds. All right, this is one of those ones that I was like, oh, that sounds like that could be a lot of fun. I could see that being worth checking out. And then there's another part of me that's kind of like, well, it sounds kind of, average and typical, so maybe it's not so interesting. I respond to certain things that other people don't respond to. Other people respond to things that I don't respond to. This one is not one that I'm really responding to, but I wanted to at least give you the opportunity to have it on your radar just in case it's something that you respond to. The next book I want to tell you about is a new book. It is called The Savage Strength of Starstorm, issue number 1 from Image Comics. Here's the description. Series premiere. Orphaned amnesiac high school student Grant Garrison is just attempting to navigate his present and recall his past when a meteor decimates his school. In the rubble, Grant discovers a strange artifact from another galaxy, the weapon known as the Starstorm. And the power that resides within it will determine not only his and his friends' future, but the fate of the entire universe. Featuring a variant cover by Deadly Class artist Wes Craig. This is written by Drew Craig with art by Jason Feinstone. So it sounds like it could be interesting. It sounds like it could be entertaining. My hesitation on this one, my hesitation on this one is I read the description and I was like, where have I heard this premise before? And I realized, oh yeah, everywhere, all of the time. Some mysterious artifact comes flying in from space. Some hapless, person finds it and gets superpowers. This is one of the most typical superhero origins in existence. Does that mean this will be bad? No. Is it a strike against it, like from the starting gate? A little bit for me. But I like Image, and issue number 1 for superheroes are kind of sort of worth checking out. So if you want to take a flyer on this one, maybe this is one worth checking out. But I don't know. It's really hard for me to describe exactly what I'm feeling about it based off this description. So I'm going to keep it on my radar. I want it to be on your radar, but I don't think I'm going to pick it up this week. Something I am picking up this week is Torrent. Issue number 4 from Image Comics. Here's the description. Michelle Metcalf's descent into desperation and violence in the name of vengeance reaches its lowest point when her trail of blood leads her into an epic confrontation with Earth's greatest and mightiest heroes, the Praetorians. It's a conflict in which Michelle is outnumbered and outpowered, and she'll never be the same. So if you haven't been reading issues number 1, 2, and 3 of Torrent, don't read issue number 4. Don't even consider picking it up. However, I mention it because I've really been enjoying this series. Way more than I would have anticipated. Issue number 1 got under my skin immediately, and I'm just all in to find out how this story is going to play out. So I highly recommend you go back and find issues number 1, 2, and 3, as well as picking up issue number 4. Pick it up just to read because I think it's really good. I remind you of my pick from last week and other weeks as well, The Ambassadors, which was a book that nobody was paying attention to, nobody cared about. You could totally find for cover price for a while, and now, for some reason, the reader buzz is there and everybody's going and picking it up. And the issue number 1, 2, and 3 are rising on the secondary market. Now, will the same thing happen with Torrent? I don't know. All I know is that I tried out The Ambassadors on a whim, and I was very pleasantly surprised with how much I enjoyed it, and I kept reading it. Same thing with Torrent. So I could see that happening. No guarantee. You never know with these things. But these are the kind of books that people are sleeping on that are worth keeping in mind and checking out. So I really like Torrent. I recommend it for all of you. Okay, I have 2 more books that I am going to be talking about today, and it was a really tough decision for me to pick which one of these books to make my just one book pick of the day. So I'll offer a little bit more context in just a moment. My final honorable mention, which could also be a pick of the week, is Amazing Spider-Man issue number 26 from Marvel Comics. Here's the description. Now, fully in the present, the emissary has returned, and his power is so far beyond Spider-Man's abilities. The heroes may figure out a way to win, but the cost of victory will be so immense that you may hope they don't. Okay, so I was a little bit dramatic with the reading of there because thankfully they made it short, so I could take the time with it. But what I will say is that they're referencing the price of victory might make them wish that things didn't happen the way they happened. And there is something significant that happens inside this comic book. In fact, one of the covers is a spoiler variant. Now, this is the way that it looks when it is been solicited. This is actually how the spoiler variant does look and will look in your comic book shop. It's black with Spider-Man on the back and spoiler variant on the front. Might make a good thing for sketches down the line, potentially. Now, I'm going to tell you, I'm not going to tell you actually, I'm going to show you what the spoiler cover is. It'll tell you what the solicitation was referencing, the price of victory, and it'll tell you why people are caring about this book. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to show it. I'm not going to say anything about it, so just keep playing. And if you don't want to be spoiled, close your eyes in 3, 2, 1. Close your eyes. Here it is. Okay, so this is the reason why people are excited about picking up this book. I'm going to take this off the screen in 3, 2, 1. You can open your eyes. Okay, so we're back to just the spoiler variant. Now, I was going to make this my pick of the week because it seems like a pretty significant thing. But it's one of those things, and I'm trying to be vague because I don't want to ruin things for people, but it's one of those things that in comic books usually doesn't pay off long term. So I think there's going to be a lot of people going after this book because there is something significant that happens in it. And this was going to be my pick of the week, but I went onto eBay to see how is this book behaving on the secondary market, and it is just cover price. Nobody is paying extra money for this book. That does not bode well. It kind of actually, it was refreshing to me because it showed to me that the comic book community is not FOMOing as hard as I'm used to the comic book community FOMOing. So it looks like everybody kind of saw this coming, not the specifics of it, but that something was coming. So I think this was probably heavily ordered, and the specifics of it, I think people are like, well, comic books. So these are the reasons why I wanted to put this on your radar, because you definitely need to know about this for this week. And pick up a copy if you're interested in reading it and checking it out and seeing how it's going. I might pick up a copy of this. I doubt it though. But at the very least, it needed to be on your radar. Just take it with a grain of salt. I couldn't make it my pick of the week because nobody cares. And I have to say, I'm in that camp as well. All right. Let's go ahead now and move on to my just one book pick of the week. And it's a very personal pick, as they usually are, but with a little bit of extra context. It's kind of extra specific and personal. Let me just shut up and tell you what it is. My just one book pick of the week this week is World Tree, issue number 2 from Image Comics. Here's the description. A new world is coming, and I helped build it. That's what Ellison Lane's teenage brother told him after murdering 60 people. Something called the Undernet is influencing terrible acts of violence, and it may already be too late to stop it from spreading. Don't miss the next horror epic from multiple Eisner Award-winning writer James Tynion IV and Fernando Blanco. So, you know how much I love James Tynion IV, and so of course I'm excited about a book of his when it comes out, any week it comes out. I'm especially excited about World Tree because I thought issue number 1 was super fantastic. And I can't wait to dig into issue number 2. So that's essentially why I am putting issue number 2 in my just one book slot this week. Loved issue number 1. Can't wait to read issue number 2. Now, if you missed issue number 1, I highly recommend that you go and you pick up issues number 1 and issues number 2. I don't think you're going to regret it, as long as you're okay with some serious violence happening in your comic books. Now, you can get issue number 1 probably in a lot of places. I've heard that it's actually sold out at a lot of places. One of my LCSs has had 10 copies on the shelf ever since the official release date. So I'm sure you can find a first print of issue number 1 on the shelf at some comic shop someplace. But if you can't, don't worry. Also this weekend is coming out the second print of issue number 1. So if you can't find the first print of issue number 1, you can always pick up the second print. And I actually think the second print is going to be fairly collectible. I might be wrong about this, but I think it's going to be significantly under-ordered. Because we had the misprints and then we had the corrected prints, there's a lot of copies of issue number 1 out there already. And like I mentioned, one of my LCSs has 10 copies of the 25 that they ordered still on the shelf. So I think that people were like, I don't think I need to order second prints of World Tree issue number 1. I'm pretty sure that everybody who wanted a copy of issue number 1 either got a misprint or a reprint. So if you see a second print, I'm picking up 3 of them myself. I think that like I said, the print numbers of it might be really low, and if anything ever happens with this, that this second print might be a good one to have if you're able to get it early and for cover price. Finally, on the topic of World Tree, I want to mention one last thing, and this book, what I'm about to mention, is actually my official Just One Book pick of the week, and I'm hoping I can get myself a copy of it, and that is the World Tree issue number 1, second print, thank you variant. Yes, okay, so as a thank you from Image Comics through Diamond to retailers for rolling with the punches of the misprints and the reprints, even though the vast majority of retailers did not roll with the punches. They did what they wanted and sold whatever books they wanted to sell whenever they wanted to sell them. But regardless, Image is still doing a thank you. They're giving them this virgin version of the Momoko 1 in 75. And this is a 1 per store thank you variant for issue number 1, the second print. On eBay, these have sold already for $200 around there. That is crazy stupid. That is the most expensive World Tree book, any version that's out there, as far as I can tell right now. And it's a thank you variant. They're in larger numbers than a lot of the other stuff. I think $200 is way too much money to spend on this, and I am not going to spend on this book, and I really want it, and I'm willing to pay up for it. So if you see this book at your local comic shop and they're selling it for $20, $30, $40, let's say even $50, I might consider picking it up without hesitation. And even if you don't want it, take it to eBay, flip it. Someone's gonna pay you over $100 for it. I can almost guarantee it. And personally, I don't think that as badly as I want it, I don't think I can stomach paying over $100 for it myself. The most expensive book that I bought so far from the World Tree title was the 1 in 100, which I got for about $88 or something like that. I can't see spending much more than that because this is not a key book. It is a second print. These are not first appearances. These are second prints of first appearances. So the book is not key. The only thing it has going for it, really, is the virgin version of the Momoko art, which I admit I do like a lot. But it's going to have a print run in the thousands. I don't know. It's hard to discuss the print run part of it. All I know is that if you see it for cheap, buy it. If you really, really want it, I just don't see spending $200. Try to, it'll go down over time. But do you do you. And I'm going to do me. And hopefully we'll all get what we want in the long run. Okay, I've rambled enough in this video. There's been not that many books this week, so I rambled a bit. So let's wrap this up. World Tree in general this weekend is my Just One Book pick of the week. All right, if you like this content, likes are appreciated by me. If you haven't already subscribed, I invite you to do so. Thank you so much for watching this video. I'll see you in the next one.